Hey everybody, today I am going to be reviewing After the Hunt. This was directed by Luca Guadagnino. It feels like I've been reviewing quite a bit of Luca Guadagnino within the last couple of years, and I've never been shy about expressing my frustrations with him as a viewer. It's like I can admire certain aspects of his talent. I obviously appreciate his artistic taste and his ability to understand certain niche aesthetics. It's like I'd love to go to his house. I'm sure that he has the most gorgeous art collection and an amazing vinyl collection, all of it. But there's not a single film of his that doesn't feel like a constant uphill battle for me to experience. I've always kind of seen him as an overzealous director, somebody that gets flustered easily. I don't know, it feels like he overdirects. Gets lost in maybe the outer embellishments of something at the expense of finding maybe a solid anchor point to build from in the story, in the film. Maybe stronger characters or more complex ideas where we can house all of these postmodern flourishes where it doesn't feel so shaky. Because Luca, and I've said this many times before, I see him as a very academic type of filmmaker. And he is somebody where I do think he has a great film in him. I really do. I think he's got the eye and he has the tools. It's just about finding the right material at the right time, taming and softening things here and there. And despite all of my complaints about him, that does give me a reason to constantly still see his films and to constantly kind of root for him in a certain way. Maybe not with this one as much, though. Lord, this movie is fascinating, and I mean that mostly in a bad way, but I also mean it in certain good ways as well. It suffers from all of the things that I'm constantly complaining about when it comes to Luca Guadagnino, but this time I mean it in spades. This was one of his more convoluted efforts, and yet I'm still glad I saw it. So it's always funny to me, the experience in a Guadagnino film. It is baffling to me mainly because there is a good movie in here. Somewhere in there, it exists. It's like it wants to overwhelm you with all this like academic dialogue, throwing it at you to see what sticks. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it has little to say through all these overwrought musings and ramblings. This is another film that revolves around the Me Too movement and cancellation within the media, but this time it is in a school setting. In this case, it is Yale University, and Julia Roberts is a professor at this university, and she is highly respected. But she finds herself kind of at a crossroads when this high-profile student makes an assault allegation against another one of the professors, and of course this colleague is a trusted friend of the Julia Roberts character. This is an interesting premise to me, even if it is a little bit redundant these days because it is quite topical still, but I like the idea of exploring kind of a highbrow world, an untouchable world. In this case, we're talking about the world of a university and professors, so it's like they specialize in this highly intellectual profession that they have to work their whole lives to achieve. Something about that always intrigues me, just this highly specified job that is so revered, so well respected, and yet it doesn't exist in the real world. If she takes 2 steps to the right, goes out onto the streets, nobody gives a shit. In a movie like this, when it's working, when it's good, it's like there's this unraveling of the clinical in order to get to the vulnerable center. And it's like you're sifting through all these cerebral words and the analysis to find the undercurrent that is primal. That's just where it feels juicy. But the problem with this movie is I don't think it's that interested in exploring the ideas. And by the end of the movie, it's like, what is this film really trying to say? Each time this movie asks an interesting question, it's like it has to create all of this noise surrounding it to cover up awkward silences. And the result to me is this movie feels like kind of a mediocre version of Todd Field's Tar. That's another film about cancellation in a highbrow field, but the intent in that one is far more clear and far more elevated, at least in my opinion. After the Hunt, by comparison, to me just feels very scatterbrained, disorganized. And as always, it is not the actor's fault. The 3 main players here are stellar in their respective roles. Julia Roberts getting to play that icy cold, removed, androgynous professor. I feel like, yeah, she was born to play this type of role, but unfortunately, I don't think she ever found that great movie to showcase it, and I'm not saying that this is one, but I still think it's a really interesting role for her, one of the more interesting roles she's had in a long time. And Andrew Garfield, he is also fabulous. He provides this slight violence to the character, this physicality that feels dangerous, but it's also intriguing, and it feels spot on for the character. It's sad, but manic as well. But that's the thing about Andrew Garfield. He always feels very organic in these types of roles. And Io Edbury, I think she's perfectly cast in this role. It's a role that she does frequently. It's that kind of Gen Z academic who's also quite high-strung with a shaky anxiety in the voice. And yeah, it really does work for this particular character that she is playing. I rarely question Guadagnino so far as the team he chooses to surround himself with, and I rarely question the actors he chooses to work with, but I'm telling you, the first 60 seconds of this movie, first couple of minutes, something was off here. It had a quality to it where it was as if it was saying, where do I begin with all this? You have all these broken moments that sort of foreshadow somewhat what we're going to see, and then you have like this ticking talk overlay sound, and I don't know, it felt confused and off kilter, but in a way that doesn't necessarily serve anything. The more we get down into the nitty-gritty of the characters and their motivations, the more Guadagnino seems to feel like it's necessary to double down on all of these experimental art house flourishes that again feel confusing, they don't make sense to me, and for the life of me, it's like he cannot let go of them. This film, more than any other, I feel like is spiked with all those avant-garde isms, and especially when it comes to the musical score. Normally I'm a big fan of Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor, that whole collaboration, but here it's like they're doing more that, again, that off-kilter sort of thing, but on top of like very dialogue heavy scenes, and the effect is so strange, it feels as though you're experiencing like muscle spasms. But I kind of have a feeling, again, it was more they were told to do that. I don't know, this movie just has, yeah, like that spastic art house Tourette's quality to it, where it doesn't feel edgy, but instead it's more distracting and confusing. We could have tightened this movie up a lot, and I think in the right hands with the right editing, this could have been pretty special. And this is weirdly why I wouldn't see this in the theaters, but I do think this might be worth a stream if you're into these types of films. Because even if this doesn't come together for me even half the way, the world building is so detailed, so specific, in a way where you can kind of fall into it. And like I said, the acting is impeccable and deserves praise. This movie could have been powerful, or at the very least contemplative, if it wasn't so focused on that word salad type of effect. And I do think this is one of those movies. This is why I say you should stream it. It's one of those movies where I feel like you could have it on in the background. When it's slow, go do some laundry or something. It is sad because this movie just does not have enough legs as it stands. So yes, it is another miss for Guadagnino, in my opinion. Another frustrating film from him, but again, I'm still intrigued. I will see probably the next movie that he comes up with. Whatever the hold is on me and on audiences, I do think it's important to acknowledge it. I know a lot of people are really destroying this movie, and it does deserve it to a degree. I just don't think it's the worst movie of the year. Not by a long shot. Trust me, I have seen much worse films this year. But yeah, that is my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to plug my website as always. It is deepfocuslens.com. I'm an artist. I do commission portraits, and I also sell prints of my work. If that is something that you're interested in, you can always go to the website below. And if you have a question about a commission or a print, you can always email me. My email is in the description box below as well. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons, who are great. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Welcome to all the new members. If you are interested in supporting, the link for that is below, as well as the rest of my social media information. You can watch more videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.